As we navigate the complexities of life, it's easy to get caught up in our daily routines and lose sight of what truly matters. We work tirelessly to provide for ourselves and our loved ones, but how often do we pause to consider what gives our lives meaning and purpose? This phrase, "Man shall not live by bread alone," is a powerful reminder from Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 4:4, that there's more to living than just meeting our physical needs. It speaks to the idea that we have an innate desire for something more, something that goes beyond mere sustenance and shelter. But what does it mean, exactly, to live by bread alone? Is it merely about putting food on the table or a roof over our heads? Or is there something deeper at play? In this exploration of biblical wisdom, we'll delve into the significance of this phrase and its implications for our modern lives. We'll examine what Jesus meant when he said that true fulfillment comes from following God's will, rather than just focusing on material possessions. Join us as we uncover the profound truth behind these simple yet powerful words. Man shall not live by bread alone. Biblical context and key passages. The phrase, "Man shall not live by bread alone," is rooted in biblical tradition, with its origins tracing back to Deuteronomy 8:3. In this passage, Moses reminds the Israelites that their journey through the wilderness was not just about physical sustenance, but also about relying on God's provision and guidance. Jesus later references this verse when confronted by Satan during his temptation in the wilderness. Matthew 4:1-11 taught, "And Satan tempts Jesus to turn stones into bread. Jesus responds by quoting Deuteronomy 8:3, emphasizing that true sustenance comes from following God's will. This phrase is also echoed in other scriptures, such as Isaiah 41:10 and Psalm 37:4. In each of these passages, we see the theme of trusting in God's provision and care, rather than relying solely on material possessions or circumstances. Interestingly, Jesus' use of this phrase in Matthew 4:4 suggests that he is emphasizing the importance of spiritual nourishment over physical sustenance. He is saying that there is more to life than just meeting our basic needs. We also need to be fed spiritually in order to live a full and meaningful life. Deuteronomy 8:3, Matthew 4:11, Isaiah 41:10, Psalms 37:4 meaning and key themes. Phrase, "Man shall not live by bread alone," speaks to the human desire for something more than just physical sustenance. It's about recognizing that our lives have a deeper purpose and meaning beyond mere survival. At its core, this phrase is a reminder that we are not solely driven by our physical needs, but also by our spiritual and emotional ones. Jesus' words encourage us to look beyond the material world and seek fulfillment in our relationships with God and others. This theme is echoed throughout Scripture, including Isaiah 41:10, which reminds us that God will supply all our needs according to his riches in glory. Similarly, Psalm 37:4 encourages us to delight ourselves in the Lord, and he will give us the desires of our heart. By focusing on spiritual nourishment, we begin to see that true fulfillment comes from living a life that aligns with God's will, rather than just pursuing material possessions or wealth. This shift in perspective allows us to reevaluate what gives our lives meaning and purpose. Practical application today. So, how can we apply this biblical wisdom to our modern lives? One way is by prioritizing time spent in prayer, reading Scripture, and cultivating meaningful relationships with others. By doing so, we begin to experience spiritual nourishment that satisfies our deeper needs. Another practical application is recognizing the limits of material possessions in bringing us true happiness. We can learn to appreciate what we have rather than constantly striving for more. This mindset shift allows us to focus on what truly brings fulfillment and joy. Ultimately, Living by bread alone means that our worth and identity are tied to our physical needs, rather than our spiritual ones. By recognizing the importance of spiritual nourishment, we can break free from this limited perspective and live a more abundant life. Conclusion. In conclusion, the phrase, "Man shall not live by bread alone," reminds us that true fulfillment comes from following God's will, rather than just focusing on material possessions. As we navigate the complexities of life, it's essential to prioritize spiritual nourishment alongside our physical needs. By doing so, we can break free from the limitations of living by bread alone and live a more abundant life that aligns with God's purpose for us. Remember, Jesus' words in Matthew 4:4 are not just a historical reference but a timeless truth that continues to guide us today. May we heed this wisdom and seek spiritual sustenance that satisfies our deeper needs, leading us to true fulfillment and joy.